everyone. Welcome back to the, second season second season. It's a brand new year, brand new school year. Welcome back to Temple. Most classes are in person at this point, which is really, really cool. You know, we never thought we'd see that ever again, but look at us now. We're back. It's been great. I'm so happy to be back. How's everyone doing? How are you doing, Sarah?
I'm doing well. I'm not going to lie. I kind of forgot about having to walk in between classes. So that 10 minutes in between that I used to run up and make a bagel, I've had to start running across campus, and I don't know. It's been nice. Getting my little workout in again. So
yes, I know I start breaking a sweat. That's for sure. I can't say it's a good one. I probably look ugly after I show up to class panting, but nevertheless, we're back next season of the CPCA podcast, Backstage Pass. Super exciting. And to start it all off, today's guest is one of the new members of the Peer Advisor Squad. They're a junior film major, also earning a minor in education. They're involved with clubs such as Temple Smash and Side Stage and are a great asset to CPCA community. Welcome, Jack Landolt. How are you doing, Jack?
I'm doing really, really, really good. How are you guys? Well, you talk to me about how you guys are doing, but no, I'm doing great. I have just gotten off of doing a very large lump sum of work, and now I'm excited to just sit down and talk about myself for half an hour. But no, I'm really excited. Thank you for having me on.
Absolutely. We're super excited to be talking to you today. Let's just jump right into it. So obviously, you are a Temple student, so we like to talk a lot of things about Temple. So let's just get right into it. What is your favorite class currently this semester? I know it's still pretty early on, so some classes I'm sure need to be digested still, but out of all the ones that you're taking so far, which would be your favorite?
I think I do have a pretty definitive answer for this one, which is the first time I think I can say for it in many a semester, because normally all of my classes have always at the start made me feel like y'all haven't won me over yet. But no, I am taking a class this semester. It is the first class I'm taking in my BFA program for the directing concentration through the film school, and it is called Scene Analysis for Writers and Directors, taught by Professor Lauren Wolkstein, and it is single-handedly probably the most useful class I've taken at Temple, period. It's the one that I've had the most fun in, and the one I also legitimately feel like I've learned a lot in, because it's made me feel really dumb, but in the good way, where you're like, oh, well, I realized I was dumb, but now I'm not dumb. Now I've ascended to not being dumb. And the professor is fantastic. She's incredibly smart, and she's a working artist, so she just knows what she's talking about. All my classmates, we have a small class. There's only 10 of us, and we're all in either the directing BFA or the screenwriting BFA, and all of us have spent a year inside, so having such a small class, we all forget how to talk to each other sometimes. I know I definitely do. I'll one kid will say something out loud, and the teacher will be like, well, does anyone else have any thoughts? And I'll have thoughts, but I'll be like, how am I supposed to articulate this again? What words do I use? And then I would just sit there, and then everyone else would do the same thing, and then we would all just look at each other and laugh. Because we can't get words out, but now that we're a month in, we get 5 more words out per class. Every time we add a couple more. Someone says oh yeah, that was really interesting.
I know, it's almost like we have to remember to not have to unmute our brains. We are here and we can just speak right now. We don't have to be yeah, I have this to add. It's so funny.
Yeah, in-person classes have been a wild change. What's it been like for you guys to be back?
It's been, I don't know, it's been definitely better. I don't know. It's very interesting with acting classes. I know my first acting class, we all went up and did monologues on the very first day. And I went up and I did my monologue that I've been doing on self-tapes for I did it last year. And I was like, oh yeah, I'm comfortable with this one. I went up and did it. And halfway through, I was like, I forget. And I started looking at everyone. I was like, whoa, this is really real. I'm like, wow, I haven't been up here on a stage in a minute. So I had to take a minute and then restart, but we're getting back into the groove. So it's definitely good to be back in the theaters and acting with other people. So for sure.
Yeah, it's been it's been refreshing just because it has been a while since an in-person class has been a thing. I mean, it's been since my sophomore year and I'm a senior now, so that's very, very weird to think about and just to say out loud. But it is nice to have that actual connection, like in-person connection again, where like you can read more body language, especially from a professor. I just think that helps me a lot. But yeah, I had a hard time adjusting to kind of what we were talking about earlier, like running the classes. Like I forgot how much of a thing that was. And I've been late to numerous amounts of classes already, and it's because of that. So I'm still adjusting to that, but you know, we're getting there. It's getting there. I like it.
Yeah, I've been less caught off guard with the travel time, but more so I don't know, like I said, with my class of 10 people, sometimes like being around 10 students can feel like, oh God, it's so intimidating to have to like, you know, it's not that it's hard to talk to people, but like I get nervous sometimes. Like I always feel like I'm going to say the wrong thing. Like I have been out of the game for so long that I feel like, I feel like anything I'm going to say is going to come off as like I've been living in my own bubble, so it's just going to sound very self-indulgent. But then like my classmates have, like, everyone has just been proving me wrong the entire time. Like I've had this weird like anxiety about coming back. I'm like, oh, like what if like I really don't know how to interact with people anymore? And then my classmates just make me feel really good about myself, and I'm like, never mind. People are still great. I don't know why I got so nervous. I still get it sometimes with like bigger groups. Because I only have I have one class that is over like 10 people that is in person, and it's my videography class. There's like 20 something of us, like a pretty average like mid-sized class. And I still haven't gotten to know a lot of people in the class because I keep getting so nervous to like, I was like, I should go introduce myself. Like there's not a lot of people here. I just keep talking to like the same 3 kids because I met them on the first day and I'm like, you guys are cool. But then like I know everybody else in my class is cool. And if you somehow end up watching this, people from my videography class, please know I want to talk to you. You all look really cool. But
we will send it to them. We will send it.
Thank you.
I actually have a list ready to send out right now.
Oh God. But no, it's been a really nice like refresher to see how great people are. I know I'm repeating myself a bit, but it's been like really like nice because the whole year inside was it was something.
It's been it's been grueling to say the least, being inside all the time. So getting that fresh air just a little bit is enough to at least get me to keep going. But yeah, so you are a film major, which is really cool. You do a lot of different projects from what I've heard, and I'm very intrigued in all of them. But I'm curious, because we are in like the Philadelphia area, specifically on Temple's campus, is there any place on campus specifically that you would personally love to film at?
Ooh, I have always, since I showed up here my freshman year, and I had to go to an advising meeting. Fun fact. I ended up walking through Mitten Hall to go get to the office. And I remember walking through that like huge lobby area that's like clearly meant to like, you put like chairs and like big tables out. It's like a big ballroom essentially. I have always wanted to film like some fun, like one take dance scene in that whole building, just because it's so scenic. Like there's no like deep meaning behind it. I just walked in and I was like, this place is so aesthetically pleasing. It's a crime that it hasn't been put onto film yet.
You know, it's funny that you say that. Literally, I have been telling, because I'm in a band, and I've been telling my bandmates, guys, there is a place on campus we should shoot a music video at, like a performance music video type space, and it's literally the exact hall that you're talking about. And we came very close a couple years ago, because we had he wasn't a friend at the time. He was just someone we knew, but now he's like our friend. But it was someone that we had heard of, and we reached out and we were like, do you think like you could schedule like a weekend time to be in there, like and contact Temple and whatever? And they're, oh yeah, for sure. They were like, yeah, we could totally do that. And the day of the shoot, they were like, yeah, so we don't have it anymore. They have an event going on. I was like, no. So we ended up just shooting the video in the what is it? The Leocora Center parking garage, which ended up being fine. That ended up actually being great. But
fun fact, I've also shot a fair couple of things in the Leocora parking garage.
Yeah, it is a great parking garage to shoot things.
It's got fun acoustics.
Yeah,
everything echoes in like a really fun movie way. It's my friend once, I'm pretty sure he shot, I want to say like a quarter of his like 2.5 hour long movie in that parking garage.
Really?
Yeah, we spent like a whole year working on it. He shot this whole, it's like a whole endeavor. Like he's been working on it for a very, very long time. And it was just funny because the parking garage like ended up becoming more important as we were filming more times, because we were like, oh, like this actually just makes sense to go back to this set piece. But over time, we just thought it was funny in the end that like we had shot a quarter of this movie in a parking garage, but like we never once drew attention to the fact that it was a parking garage. They just happened to be there for looks and acoustics. And we just think it's funny because every time we walk through there now to like actually park a car, we're like, this is a set. This isn't real. This is not a real parking garage.
It's true. I've seen it be used for so many things. I've seen people do photo shoots up there. I mean, I did a music video there.
Oh, the skyline up there is so pretty.
It's so pretty. The only thing I haven't seen that I think would be really cool is to put on a concert on the top of the parking garage. I think that would be really cool, but sounds like a lot of work too. So yeah, I don't know. It seems like it'd be fun, but I don't know. I keep thinking I'm going to organize something, but it's got to be at a good time. So, you know, when everyone can be around each other with no risk. So,
yeah, I will say now that there is mitigated risk, and I've been able to get in contact with a couple of my old colleagues from my freshman year. It's so weird to say that I haven't seen like, I made friends after like 6 months. I was like, you guys are all great. And then I didn't see them for a year. I talked to them for a year, but I just got the chance to finally like meet up with a bunch of people who I had been planning on working with well over a year ago. And it's really nice because every single one of us are vaccinated, and we're all like, we've all shown up with like a bunch of ideas for all like, not like small scale stuff, but like stuff that we know we can do. Because we've been so like starved to get back to making stuff, like doing art with other people. That's the important part, like collaborative art. We've just been like so bored doing it ourselves, and so we all have these ideas. Like my one friend has like a notebook filled end to end with like different like sketch comedy ideas. He's just spent the whole summer writing. He was like, I tried to like learn a lot more. And so like, as I was learning, I wrote more, and I was like, this is all really great. And so we're trying to plan on shooting a bunch of it before winter break at least. But like I don't know. I think the energy has been really nice coming back, where it seems like a lot more people are like jazzed to do art, but like respectfully.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. Yeah. I totally.
Like, I don't know many people who are like, we should go like, shoot a whole movie, and we're gonna need like 40 people in one spot in order to get this like one really good take. We've just been like, let's just get like 5 people together and try and make something funny.
Yeah, there you go. And that's all you need to create art, in my opinion. You know,
yeah, we're not good at it, but we do it a lot. So,
hey, as long as it's fun, who cares?
I'm sure you're great. What are you talking about?
Oh, we're getting better. Just not there yet.
It all comes in due time for sure.
Oh, absolutely. One day it'll click. It's not now
for sure. So as you know, being a Temple student, there are a lot of 7-Elevens that are just around the area. Especially many of them. Yeah, especially notably the one that's actually on like Paulette Walk. That one literally just right there next to the subway, and there's an ATM there, the hotel. So that's a good place in convenient space to get snack. At least for me, it's a good place to get a snack. If you were to get a snack there and you're like running late somewhere, so you need to pick something up quickly, what would be the first thing you grab?
Ritz, it's the bag of Ritz peanut butter crackers.
Ah,
like the little peanut butter sandwich crackers.
Yes.
I will say that yes,
yeah.
they're $1.69. they're in like the aisle furthest, like right next to the ice cream freezers.
So you like know.
Oh, the one on Pollitt Walk. I walk in. I'm like I got 4 minutes until class starts. I'm grabbing a 1 liter Diet Coke, and then I'm grabbing the Ritz Bits, and I'm out. And I'm upset because apparently they have not gotten their new, like, they haven't restocked in a bit, because I've gone like 3 times in the past 2 weeks, and every time I walk in, they don't have them. And it's kind of hurting my heart a little bit. So my backup is Cheez-Its, but 7-Eleven, please bring back my peanut butter Ritz Bits.
For sure.
They're so good.
Gosh, so you like mean business when you go in there. Like, you're not messing around.
I don't go to 7-Eleven often, especially over the past year. I've definitely, like, I will say COVID did one thing, which was help me become a better cook. So like I actually like meal prep now, or I try to at least. Like, I have enough food at home to like eat at home before I go out. So I normally don't need to go snack, but I'll have days where it's like, you know, I have a class from 5:30 to 8, and I'm going to be in there a while, and I know I don't need dinner. So I'm just going to grab a soda that's bad for me and a snack that's bad for me, because I'm treating myself.
Hey,
as I sip a Diet Coke.
Yeah, you got to treat yourself. It's just what you got to do. In the dire times that we live in today, you got to treat yourself.
Yeah, and my treats are more planned now.
There you
now
go.
Like I'll make myself like a pasta for dinner at home, and then I'll be like, all right, I'll like actually make it healthy. Don't put a lot of salt in it. Like make it decent. Then I go to class and I'm like, I'm gonna eat garbage, and I'm gonna enjoy every second of it, and no one can judge me for it.
Hey, there you go. That's what you got to do. So we're all students that have to study all the time. We all have different.
Are we though? Are we?
All right, look, I didn't want.
You are talking to a film major.
I didn't want to call myself out and say that studying isn't my strong suit, but let's just go with it and say that it is, for all of our sakes. Let's say we all study. You know, that is number one priority. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Of course.
Of course. Where's your favorite spot to actually do work on campus, whether it is studying or like homework or anything like that?
On campus, I really like the spot next to Paley, across from the wall, where Richie's and the new Anderson green space is.
Yeah,
I like to sit in that patch of grass like next to Paley, only because it's really fun, because there's a lot of people convening around campus during like the height of the day there. Like the traffic is insane. There's so many people walking by and so many people staying in place. There's just a lot going on, and I'm a little weirdo, and because I do directing work, so like part of what I like to do is to always feel like I'm like getting the weird like little things that people do down correctly, like trying to understand people better. So like I always just like going up there with a notebook while I'm like on a break in between classes. And I either like read a little bit of my textbook or like write some ideas down in a notebook, and I'll just like people watch lightly. I'll just like watch people go by, see like what different groups are doing, and be like, oh, that's all neat.
Yeah.
Not stalking per se.
Yeah,
but
no. I got you. I understand that feeling. See, if I were people watching or whatever, I like analyzing like movements and like certain things that people do. So I'll like psychoanalyze people while I'm like doing homework for music theory. I don't know. So I totally get the interest in it, because it is interesting to just see what people are doing and where they're going. But you know what's funny? I was thinking this because when I was asking you the question of favorite homework spot, like I was thinking about myself really quickly, because I was like, God, like I don't really have a favorite spot. And I was like, yeah, I do. It's the CPCA advising office. That is literally like, it is my new favorite spot to do
Name
homework.
drop. Put it in there.
I had to. It is literally, it is so quiet in there. Not
all
because
the time.
Yeah, and it's not because like there's no one there, because obviously people are there all the time and whatever, but like it's just so nice, like where it is, like there's not much going on. So even outside of the actual office itself, like it's still fairly quiet. So like getting work done there is really easy. And plus it's like you got a little bit of music in the background. And if you need to take a break, like if a student walks in for an appointment, like that's your little break and you get to snap out of doing work, do your thing, and then you can go right back into it with like a little bit of a fresh mindset. So that's like that's my take. I don't think I've ever had the pleasure of saying that.
Oh, I'm
I
glad
know,
you got
'cause
it out.
we didn't work in the office last year. It's crazy.
No. Yeah,
it was so cool to go in August and actually like meet everyone who we've been working with for a year.
I know.
And be in the space is so crazy.
It's really crazy. I'm still like, I didn't realize how tall Brad was, by the way.
So many people, heights are like really getting to me. I won't lie. I'm like, even my friends who I knew before, I look at them and I'm like, we're the same height. I look you directly in the eyes all the time. And I'm like, wait, it's because I'm looking at my computer and not at you.
I was going to say, Brad was the only one that I looked at and I was like, hi, nice to meet you. Like, I didn't realize how tall he was. So Brad, if you're watching this, dude, let's play basketball sometime. I'd love to play against you. Let's get it going. You're a tall dude.
I guess I just make good snap height judgments because I remember getting onto. I think it really just go as far as Brad kind of reminds me of my brother-in-law, and both of them are like well over 6 foot. Like that's it. I was like, he reminds me of my brother-in-law, so like he's probably tall. And then I walked into the office and I was like, oh yeah, he's tall.
Yeah,
no surprise there.
The assumptions you can make just from having connections.
Just a mild association. Tall people are all the same.
Love that. So we all work in the advising office, but even though we work in the advising office, we obviously need advising ourselves. So what is some of the best advice an advisor has given you?
Well, that's a good question. So my 2 advisors from the past have been Leanna and Derek. Derek, may he rest in sports marketing. He's since moved on from FMA, but I think it was probably a piece of advice that Derek gave me pre his passing. I should stop talking about it like he's dead. I should stop doing that. The bit's over. But no, in actuality, I think, I'll say a joke one first. The best compliment that Derek ever gave me was full stop being in the middle of a presentation, like in front of a group of students and just stopping mid-sentence to compliment the boots I was wearing and then went back to talking. I'll never forget that moment. But it was when I was trying to like pre-plan like 4 semesters in advance. I was trying to like map out my entire college career in like one like 20-minute sit down session with him. And he was like, look, okay, you need to like sit in the moment for a second. He was like, you'll get to those semesters eventually. But like between the start of this new semester and the end of it, a lot of stuff is probably going to change, including whatever plan you come up with. So like save the plans for later, like focus on the now. And it was a good reminder because when I first came to college, I was always like, oh, I wasn't like the best student in high school. So like, I really want to try and like, turn it around at college. So I got like too hyper focused on like needing to make sure it all went well. So Derek was like, slow down. You'll get there when you get there. Like, you don't need to rush it. Just enjoy where you are now. And I was like, noted. Thank you.
There you go. We all need that little reminder, right?
Yeah. And he was like, take your time to pick classes that you think you're really going to love. And then I sat down and I picked a bunch of classes for like random gen eds that I had to fulfill. But then I ended up taking them that upcoming semester. And I was like, wow, these classes were just legitimately like really interesting and really fun. Because he told me like, don't try and look at it like a puzzle that you need to solve. Like look at it as this is your life for the next like 6 months. Like plan it out so that you can enjoy it. And I was like, I will do that.
There you go. See, advisors always got great advice. I gotta say, they are some of the most underrated people on Temple's campus. I gotta admit that. And that's not even just because I'm working for them and I have to say that. That's like genuinely like I genuinely think they are some of the most underrated. Because the one thing I learned is that they are just, at the end of the day, they're people. like with the same
Yeah.
problems that, we have. And like, and I think actually the best part of it, they're very relatable because some of them aren't exactly like they didn't study the, majors that we are currently studying.
Oh, yeah,
like,
no.
a lot of them
Derek
come from
knew
different
nothing about
backgrounds.
film.
That's what I mean. Like they're just people that have just really good advice, but they don't have any biases with, what we're doing. And I actually loved that. Like when I figured that out, that made a huge difference in how I talked to the advisors, because the advice that they would give was not necessarily of my interest, like in the major, but of what I should just do in order to succeed and just, be able to get it done correctly.
They're like my parents at college. Like my parents are back home, like being happy that I'm not there anymore. But like, Leanna and Brad are here not to tell me that they care about like the work I'm doing. They're like, oh my God, I'm so glad your movie went well. They're like, hey, you need to like make sure your credit counts up so you can graduate. Like they're here to keep me on track. And they do a pretty damn good job of it. Ooh, I swear.
Yeah, I mean, we let it slip every now. You should have seen some of the episodes we did last year. I let some words fly, and I had to.
Ooh, spicy Ben.
I had
extensive editing.
I had to bleep them out. It was pretty bad. Like if you just get me talking about a certain topic, like I think the first time it happened, we were interviewing Emily. And we ended up talking about, was it Star Wars?
No, I think wasn't it the Phillies?
Oh, it was the Phillies. It was the Phillies.
Way different jump.
Yeah, it was the Phillies. And I just remember there were two things. It was the Phillies and Star Wars. They were like the two big talking points because that's something we both had in common. So I was just flying off the rails. Just talk, and I was talking about the World Series. That's what it was. I was talking about the Phillies 2008 World Series, and I just let it fly instantly. I was like, oh no, we got to bleep that out. So, yeah, some words can definitely fly. Damn's okay.
I'm surprised I have not slipped. Now I'm super focused on it, and I will not do it. But normally my slip ups are normally a lot worse. Yeah, I've had some of the worst moments in front of family, because like one thing about going to college is that I'm surrounded by like my peers and like people of my age group 24/7, which I think is simultaneously a good thing and a terrible thing, because then I get so used to like it's really gratifying because I feel like I get to really be myself when I'm at college. Like I do really feel like people are going to take the all parts of me, including some of the abrasive parts. And so like I get a little aggressive when I'm like talking about movies I don't like. I'm like I just don't get it. Like me not getting it like will make me like, I like going on hyperbolic rants, and my friends find it funny. My parents, on the other hand, do not get the same kind of humor. They don't jive with it necessarily. So I remember coming home and I had just watched the second season of The Mandalorian.
Yeah.
And like I wasn't a big fan of the ending. And I remember my brother and I are both like big Star Wars heads. So I was just making it like a family thing at this point, because my brother and I were talking about it. We were all in the kitchen together. So I was like, I'll make a show of it. And I truly, for the next like 6 minutes of my life, forgot where I was. And like I came out of it and realized that I had probably said every swear word in the book. Because like my brother was like, it was the best thing I've ever seen. And I was like, my brain is like, I liked parts of it. I don't get how you can think that. And then the two of us were just yelling back and forth after a while. And he was like, he's like 32 and respectful and an adult and like knows how to like have a conversation around family. Meanwhile, I just went ballistic. And by the end of it, my parents weren't mad. They just looked so disappointed. They just looked at me. They were just like, I'm glad college is going great. Now it's like, it is. Thank you.
Yeah.
I'm learning a lot.
Definitely got to watch, yourself when you're on this podcast. Backstage
absolutely.
Pass. Oh, yes.
I'm treating it like I'm with my parents.
Oh, yeah, for sure, for sure. So let's get out of CPCA for a minute. Let's talk about your education minor. What exactly were you looking to do, like with an education minor? Because film and education actually go hand in hand together. But for example, I have a friend who is also a film major, but he's also talked about being a history teacher down the line. So they have slightly some things to do together, obviously, because, you know, being a film major, you have to watch films from 50 years ago and explain why they were genius back then. So I see the correlation there, but what about for you personally? Why the education minor?
So funnily enough, it actually initially started out as a business minor. That it was an agreement between me and my dad. He was like, I don't get the whole film thing, but I'm clearly not talking you out of this. So I need like a safety net. And I was like,
I feel like that's a common theme with CPCA kids, because you got the music, you got the film, you got the theater. They're like, all right, you can go ahead, but you need a little something. So I mean, I have a communications minor. I know so many other people who have minors of the same sort, and it's definitely a common theme around these parts.
To be fair, in my dad's defense, I was very resistant to anything else. I was like, I know I want to do film for the rest of my life. I know that this is something I can make a career in. Like, I've done the research. I know what I have to do. I just want to go to school to get better at it. And he was like, okay, but you have to admit it's a bit of a, it's a rocky area in terms of like a career path. Like, that could be rough down the line. And I was like, you're right. So I was just opposed to the idea of even having a minor. So my dad made the decision for me. He was like, get a business minor. And I was like, okay. I took 2 semesters of it. I took a full year of it. It was my whole sophomore year. I didn't like it one bit. That's not a knock against business minors or business majors or anyone in business. I just don't have the brain for that. I really don't. It's not that I was doing bad either. I was just not happy with what I was doing. And I was like, I feel like this is just a waste of my time and my dad's money. So I was like, I should look into getting a minor in something that would A, make my dad feel more comfortable, and B, make me happy. So I chose education because I have a little grand conspiracy about teachers and like a bunch of my teachers from high school. I'm convinced that all English and history teachers at some point in their lives have considered going into film for one reason, because all of my history teachers and English teachers in high school all used movies all the time. Like, they loved showing them to teach us things about the class. I had a teacher who was so excited to finally be teaching the year of American history that he was teaching, because he could finally show his classes Saving Private Ryan, and it was technically in the curriculum. Like, he just loved movies. And it's my little grand little conspiracy, because they all like encouraged me to make video projects when I was in high school. And like, we didn't have like film classes per se, but they helped me make it feel like that. So then when I was like, well, I don't love business, so what do I want to do? And I was like, I would like to maybe one day be that for someone. I liked the idea of like, maybe doing this film thing for a little bit. And then once I'm like, in my mid 30s, and I'm like, all right, I need to like slow down and like have a quiet life for the rest of time. Like, I would love to either A, teach, like public education. Like, I would actually love to be an English teacher, or I would just love to become like, a film academic, like working at Temple maybe. Like, I would love, like, my current professor who I was talking about earlier, Lauren Wilkstein, like, I would love to be her one day, like a working artist who is talented and has every right to be saying what she's saying, and also can go and take all of that ability and give it to a younger generation, because I think that's just the best thing that you can do. So I picked film and education because I'm a little nerd who spent way too much time inside as a kid watching movies, and then also got way too obsessed with wanting to share that with people. So
hey, that is A-okay. I think that's a valid reason.
That's awesome.
I love your conspiracy, though, because it does kind of line up with where I went to high school for a couple of teachers. Not all of them. I had one, maybe 2 history. Actually, I think all of my history professors specifically, I don't know if any of them wanted to go on film, maybe one, but I can say for a very certain fact that my one English teacher did and was an actress, like in I think she played Annie and did like a touring Broadway thing.
Oh.
And she like played Annie in like the 70s, I guess. So like her thing was like acting, so not film specifically, but in the same realm.
Some sort of visual art, like theater too. Like all of the, I'll put it this way: they're all secretly theater kids.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. I know that's the other thing about just college in general. Coming here, and I'm like everyone who I've like Ben has done theater. Like everyone who I've spoken to, they're like, "Oh yeah, I did theater." I'm like, "What?"
Yeah.
What? And then there's just like the crazy ones of us who are theater adults now. So I mean,
I feel like it's funny how I don't know if this is just like American culture, like the way public schools work, and then like the way American colleges work. But I love that like they just shove all of like the visual arts people together all the time. Like even in high school, it was always like there weren't necessarily like there were film kids in high school. Don't get me wrong. I was one of them and I knew a bunch of them. I'm saying it with disdain because I didn't like a lot of them. But no. But like theater kids, like, you know, like the stage crew, the actors, band kids, like the choir, like all of them were all in the same groups. They're all in the same cliques.
Yeah.
And then I think it's funny because that's not necessarily the case at like college per se, because the groups are so much larger that it's like easier to just kind of like stay friends with a lot of people in FMA, even though I have plenty of friends in theater and IST, like all over the place. But like, I think it's interesting how at these schools, they specifically just made colleges, they like broke them up evenly in the same way that they did when I was in high school. So like CPCA is music, dance, theater, and film. Like all the same like nerdy performer kids from when I was in high school are all still in the same school together. Like we're all still here.
Oh yeah. It
doesn't change.
It just happens to be different areas, like different locations from where people were. You're gone from the people you knew in high school, and now you're meeting different people with the
I'm meeting different theater
interests.
kids from different high schools across America.
Yes.
We're all reconvening in new spots. We're redistributing the theater kids.
It's all about them connections. What can I say? Oh, they work wonders. And college
absolutely.
Definitely taught me that for sure.
It's also funny the sheer amount of people that I like still know who I run into, because like I have plenty of people from my high school who followed me here. That's how I'm going to word it, because it's funny. But like I run into so many people now who are younger than me, who I forget, because like I left high school and I was like, high school's not real anymore. That didn't happen.
Yeah.
But then I ran into a kid who was a year younger than me, who he spent his whole freshman year online. And so I hadn't had a chance to see him at all on campus. And I ran into him last week and we caught up for like, 15, 20 minutes. It was good to hear from him, but I walked away and I was like, I had like a mini heart attack. I was like, I just got reminded that like that whole part of my life still happened. I gotta can't forget that. Those people are still real. They're not just a memory.
They're not a, what do you call it? They're not a fever dream. It happened.
They're not an apparition. They happened.
It happened. It actually
It was
happened.
It's so funny. Like I keep wording it like these like big grandstanding like epiphany-esque moments, but it's like I ran into a guy from high school.
Yeah.
He looked great. He's doing great.
Got to keep reminding yourself. So you are currently you're the assistant director for the opera here at Temple. Is that correct?
So it's not an assistant director role per se. I am assisting in the film aspect of it. So the director is an opera director who's actually fairly well renowned across the East Coast. He's done a lot of great work. And he reached out to Fred, the head of our theater department, who then reached out to me because they were looking for someone who could do a different sort of projectionist film aspect to this live theater. So basically their plan, what they want to go for, I don't want to divulge too much because I'm sure they want to keep some of it a surprise for the performance, but the long and short of it is that they want to try and incorporate film and theater into one performance. So they basically want on the stage, you get to see theater as it's normally played. You see it like live and in front of you and the actors from like a distance. So you get that same aspect, that same like sort of detachment that comes with theater. But he also wants to have a floating camera on stage to be, used by different actors or like crew members to get like film type shots that will then be displayed on the projector above. So you can look down at the stage and see a theatrical performance and look up and see a more cinematic performance. Whoa. And they're trying to, it's a huge thing that happened because of COVID in opera, a lot of different operas, because of the restrictions that they're having with actors on stage. They are embracing it a little bit, and they're having the intimacy of theater show up in more cinematic moments on a projector. They're trying to like bridge the gap with film, since theater has become a lot more distanced as of late.
Right. That's actually really neat. That'll be really cool.
So I'm excited to see that.
So the way he explained it to me, and the role that he wants me to fulfill in the production, is he knows the feelings and themes and emotions he's trying to convey with what he's talking about. He just needs me to translate that into film language. So he's not someone who regularly works with cameras. He doesn't there are a lot of intricacies to how different visual elements convey different emotion. And he was like, I didn't study for that, but you are, so you could tell me what I don't know. And I was like, I would absolutely love to do that. So,
gotcha. So then I guess my question would be like, do you have to, the people that are performing in this opera, do you have to like teach them how to work a camera? Is that like part of it?
I probably will at some point. We haven't gotten to do much of production, anything like, much of anything for the production yet. It's all been pre-production meetings. I was toured around TPAC, and they showed me their TriCaster setup for their live streaming, and like just how all their camera equipment works. And I can slow down when I talk. I talk too quickly. It's one of my biggest flaws. But they were showing me around, and they showed me all their cameras. They have all these stationary cameras in TPAC, and they were like, this is what you have to work with. And then I talked to the director, and he was like, well, the stationary cameras are good, but I would like to have something on stage more like, close to the actors. And I was like, well, I assume, would that be like a crew member? And he was like, well, because of COVID, it'll actually probably be actors filming other actors. So when when like another actor is taking the focus of a scene, they'll trade off the camera and someone else will start filming them. And I was like, okay, so we'll have to like keep the settings pretty uniform. Like we can't have too much dramatic change in how the camera looks. Cause like, I'm not expecting to have to sit down and like give a whole crash course on like videography in like a couple of hours for an actor. Like I assume what we'll probably end up doing is keeping things on like pretty consistent settings and basically leaving the work of the actors to be framing and movement. They don't really have to do much else with the actual physical camera. They're just moving it for us. There are human tripods.
Interesting. So that'll be really neat. I'm really curious to know how that turns out, because that's a cool way to like twist and tie the two together. Like,
yeah, and the director has this really whole interesting perspective on how he wants to do his art, which is a thing that I've been really getting into, and I think is really interesting, which is the idea of like, like the Brechtian art, which is the art of, like it's a huge thing in theater where it's like theater that's drawing attention to its like facade.
Yeah.
It's like constantly drawing attention to the illusion of theater, like the creating of the said reality. And it's like, reminding the audience of it. And it creates this really interesting dynamic where the audience starts to like pick apart the show in a way that they wouldn't otherwise. Right. Like if they were passively just giving themselves to the world that the author or the director or whoever has created. Instead, the author is like poking at the audience and being like, hey, look at this.
Yeah.
Remember how you don't pay attention to that normally? Like, isn't that weird? Isn't that making you feel weird? It draws a different type of reaction out of the audience. And I think it's a super, super cool way to do it. Although I don't like using the word Brechtian because Bertolt Brecht stole it from a couple of other colored female or African American female writers, and it was unfortunate, but his work now is known as Brechtian. But I know in my heart of hearts that there were actually more nuanced, interesting creators who came before him, whose names I still need to learn because education doesn't teach us that, sadly, not yet. But I think it's really interesting what he's doing with it, and I love the idea, and I'm excited to work on it.
So cool. I'm so excited to see that. I know a couple people who are working with the operas and stuff, so I will definitely be watching that when they air. Is it going to be like, so it's going to be like live and video, correct?
Yeah, and they're planning on live streaming it, I believe. That's one thing that they're trying to work on. That's my lack of expertise. They're like, "What do you know about live streaming?" And I'm like, I am a frame the shot to make it mean something. I don't know how all the intricate technicalities of live streaming works, but I may end up teaching myself now.
There's a lot to the live streaming, but
I may have to invest myself now. But I'm excited.
Mm-hmm. So you've also worked with some other clubs in the theater film realm. I think one of them is called Side Stage,
where
Stage, and also Temple Smash. So can you tell us about those experiences?
Yes. Well, Temple Smash, I will say I haven't worked with them in quite a bit, although I plan on working with them more in the future. I did a lot of work for them my freshman year when we were all still in person. And I got to work with, he's just graduated, I believe, 2 years ago. Cameron Clay was my director for a Temple Smash skit. And he's now gone, he's doing great work now. Like my professor just brought up some of his work in my class. He's doing very well for himself, and I'm a little sad I didn't get to know him better, because he really does seem like such a great creative. And like the sketch that we did was really fun. It was funny. The script was like, we were all like, okay, like this is goofy. It's a bit like childish, but like we're gonna make this work. Like it was a very like rudimentary, very straightforward sketch, and our actors, Cameron got such great performances out of our actors. It was amazing. And like one of our main actors was actually like someone who's heavily involved in the production side of Smash. I forget his last name now, but his name was Kyle. And you can check out the sketch. It's Comfy Chair. The credits will say Kyle's last name before I do. But Kyle gives the hammiest, campiest performance I have seen anyone give on any production I have ever worked on up until now. And we lost so many cuts because Kyle kept making people on the set laugh.
No.
And like, oh yeah, like all the audio we were getting was all on set. We were using boom mics, and Cameron, after a certain point, Cameron got so fed up with it because like he was getting a great performance out of Kyle, but it was biting us in the butt a little bit because we all kept laughing at Kyle on set. I know I was, because there was a point where like I was literally sitting with a light like beneath the camera, shining it up toward Kyle. So I was just below out of frame. I'm like right there. And so Kyle's like, during the scene, like he's like messing with me. Like he was purposefully trying to make me laugh. So he kept like looking down at me and making faces at me while I was holding the light at him. And at one point he like kicked me. And I was like, stop. No, Cameron's going to yell at me. Don't do it. And then I would start laughing. And Cameron would be like, Jack, come on, we got to finish this. And I'm like, oh.
That's awesome. Hey,
no,
you
all the
have
people
a good time.
Temple Smash is just as much as like, you know, it's about having fun on the set as it is making something good.
Yeah.
Like, I have never had a negative experience working with Smash yet. Like, yes, we have had some days where it's like stressful to like go out and like make sure we're getting all the shoots done. But like all in all, I feel like the atmosphere of the whole club focuses on like just making something at the end of the day that you all had like a great time making. And that's what makes it good. Like when it comes out, you know, it's not like an Oscar-winning script, but like you watch it and it just makes you feel great because you can tell that the people who made it had a lot of fun making it. And I know like our sketch, we died. Like we spent most of our shoot laughing instead of working. It was a lot of fun. And
that's when you know it's good.
Yeah, and Side Stage made me feel a similar way. I worked in theater throughout all of high school. I did stage management for 2 years. I was a full-time stage manager. And Side Stage brought me out of retirement because I ended high school and I was going into college and I was finally doing all my film stuff. And I was like, now that I can really do this film stuff, forget theater. Theater's behind me. That's a stepping stone in my past. And then, I started seeing, like I have a new partner that I had started seeing back in February, and she is a dramaturg. And she was encouraging me as I was talking to her more about my past in theater. She was like, oh, well, Side Stage is always looking for stage managers and people to work on the crew. And I was like, I don't know. Like, I really was treating it like I was like a 60-year-old man who's like out of the game. I was like, I don't know if I can. Well, because it's funny. Like when I was in high school, I spent more time at my theater than in class. Because
no, me too. I like basically lived there.
The position that I ended up in, I actually ended up doing a lot of like public events for my high school. Like I worked with like incoming groups that would like rent out our theater more often than our actual faculty would. So like I got pulled out of class a lot. So like I remember that was why like I say like I wasn't the best student in high school because my grades lacked because I spent a lot of time doing work that would end up benefiting me a lot in the long run. But it was funny just because I really did treat it like a job. Like I was like my English teacher would be like, you have an assignment due this Thursday, and I'd be like, can I turn it in Monday? I have a thing going on this weekend. And they're like, no, what? This is not an argument. You're my student. And I'm like, oh, fine. But so I really treated it like a job. So when I stopped doing it, it was like that was like me quitting the job. But then my partner was eventually like, oh, come on, like you're being a baby about this, like just try it. And of course, I worked on a show with Sarah and our other coworker, Maggie, and Carmen, and Danny, and Barry, and all these wonderful, amazing people. And my favorite director of all time, Gia. I got to work with so many wonderful people. And I'm so glad that I had someone to smack me upside the head into doing that, because I was being such a bitter little baby about it. I was like, what if I don't like it? And like, it's on Zoom. So like, how much am I even really going to be doing? And then I ended up doing a lot, and I got to talk to all of the crew and like had a lot of input over the show, and it made me really happy. And Annika's script was really good. Oh, if anyone here who is watching To Spin in the Wind is on YouTube, and you should watch it like right now. Sarah is a heartthrob.
It's still there.
It's still there and will continue to be. It's amazing. But no, I really like have been a huge fan of all of the clubs I've worked with at the school, because obviously I'm an artist and I like working with other artists, and these clubs are just excuses for people to get together and make art. That's all it is.
Exactly.
It's not high effort.
It's just to hang out.
Yeah.
I just like gather people to hang out with me.
Yeah. It's just to make friends and make art. It's such a great atmosphere, and it's why I legitimately love this school. I have a thing about not having I don't like to have too much pride in an institution. It feels weird to me. Like when I went to high school, everyone was like so fervently obsessed with like a place that you were only going to be for 4 years. I was like, I get like being proud of it. I don't get like fetishizing it, but yeah, I do legitimately I don't have like temple pride, as it were. I just love the atmosphere that I think this campus fosters. And I think a lot of the school attracts a very not like-minded, because I don't want it to sound like we're just living in one big echo chamber, but like a lot of people who have a similar understanding about like creativity and like working with other people. I've had my handful of negative experiences. Everybody has, but like nothing that could diminish all of the great people that I've worked with at Temple. You know, I love this school, and I do love the city. It's very nice.
True.
It's so true. Yeah. Hey, there you go. Join a club. Meet new people.
Join a club.
Have a good time.
Oh my God. Even if you don't think you're gonna like it, you join it and you're like, I don't know if this is for me. You know, with these clubs, it's normally like a production period, and then the club goes on a break, and then they do another production period.
Yes.
I would try one season, try one production of whether it be a film shoot or a theater performance or an a cappella group, like a vocal performance group, or like music performing of any kind. Try any of it. If it sounds interesting to you, give it a try. And if you didn't like it, you didn't like it.
And
go do something else.
That's one of my favorite things about like the CPCA clubs is exactly what you said. It's like mainly like production based, and it's not like weekly meet. Everyone has to come for the whole entire year at least once a week. Like, no, it's like there's a couple productions throughout the year, and you pick which one fits best in your schedule, and you try to, be a part of it in any way that you can, and then that's how you like get in. And like we have people who like were with us freshman year, and then we haven't seen them, and then they come back senior year, and now they're starring in our productions, and we're like, oh my god, this is so great! Like, it's just a journey, and it's always so good to see new people and have old people come back, and it's just a great atmosphere here in CPCA club world.
I hope to do more of it.
I feel bad for the people that aren't in CPCA.
It's true. It's true. We're the best.
I hate to say it, but it's kind of true. Although Klein people are okay.
I do like Klein people.
Are okay.
Well, we share the space. We got to empathize.
Exactly. I'm like, the building. It's half and half. Like
we respect.
They're like our like cousins.
Yeah.
Yeah, we respect them, but they're not us. No, I'm kidding.
They're not one of us.
They're not one of us. No, we'd love to be a Temple student, though. It is great. It genuinely is. So I actually do want to talk about something really quick. You like D&D.
That is an understatement. I love D&D.
So one thing about me is that I love board games, but I've never been a part of a campaign for D&D, and I've always wanted to be a part of it. So I gotta know, first of all, are you currently in a campaign?
I am DMing. I just finished a session last night.
Okay, wow. Okay. So on average, how long are your campaigns?
So my average is skewed now because for the longest time, when I was in high school, people were just busy doing a bunch of things, discovering yourself being a high schooler. So like D&D was hard to keep super consistent when I was in high school, but I did play. I think the longest game I had played up until a certain point was probably around like 4 months.
Wow. Oh my god.
Well, my current game that I started, I had planned on having in person at Temple back in, I had started planning it in February of 2020, and then
all plan things?
I got my players together. I figured out who was playing with me, and they had started making characters. And then we went on spring break, and then we came back, and then we all stopped existing for a year. So
right.
I stayed in contact with all the people that I had been making plans with, and I was like, "Do all of you have Discord?" And most of them were like, "Yes." And the people who didn't, we showed them, we like made them get it, and we ended up running it over our computers starting in May of 2020. I had started like officially writing like a campaign in March when I got sent home. That was like my quarantine activity. I was like, at the time, I was like, all right, I'm going to be on lockdown for like 2 months. Time to fill my time with something. And then I ended up filling the next, where are we at now? A year and 3 months, I think. A year and 4 months soon. No, it's September.
On one campaign?
We started May 9th of 2020. And
it hasn't ended? Oh my god.
To be fair, we did go on a hiatus for July because I had a couple of players who were going on different vacations that were all like overlapping. So like no one could find time to play.
But that's 1 month. So you're telling me this is a 15-month campaign that you just finished up?
It's not done.
Oh, it's not done.
I finished a session last night. I am hoping and praying it's at the most 4 more like 3-hour sessions.
Oh my god, I thought you were gonna say 4 more months. I was like,
no. 4 more sessions, and then I'm wrapping it all up. I have 10 players.
Right.
That got way out of hand super quickly. It started with 7. 7 was the biggest number of players I had ever started out with. I think my largest campaign up until that point had been 5 players. So there were 7 of them, but I was like prepping for it. I had been DMing for a really long time. I was like, I'm going to challenge myself during quarantine. And then word got around to more of my friends, because my friends who started playing were like really, really enjoying it. And I had a couple more people reach out to me and they were like, hey, this sounds like a lot of fun. Could I play? And I was like, I can't say no to you. I can't, because I want to share the game with everybody. I think it's so much fun. So I ended up with 10 players by the end of it. And it got to a point where I couldn't handle having 10 people in a call all at once. So I split the group into a group of 5 and a group of 5, and I would switch off every other week. So I would be like, you would get like a 2-week break instead of a 1-week break between sessions. Right. So I would play one group, then I would play the next group the next week, then the next group the next week. I would switch off. I don't recommend this for anybody. I do recommend playing D&D wholeheartedly. I think you should. And if DMing sounds interesting to you, then you should, because people always view it, like you said, Ben, like a tabletop, like a board game.
Right.
I don't view D&D like a board game. I view D&D as a mind game, because the things that exist in the physical world, like the rule books and like the rolling of the die and like all the general, like the nerdiness that I think a lot of people equate to it, like the math elements, are very minor, and they're there to help structure your crazy imagination. So like, in actuality, the game is mostly just you making stuff up. Like, you come up, it's basically writing a TV show that you just act out with your friends on the weekends.
Wow.
That's essentially what it is. And like, you have your players get super, super into their characters so that when they show up to a session, they don't have like a predetermined script. They just know their character well enough that they know how they would respond to things. And half the time as like a DM, all I have to do is pose like one question or like one dilemma. I put it in front of my players and they argue with each other for like an hour and a half.
Oh my God.
Like, some of my sessions are literally just 2-hour long arguments of my friends arguing with each other in character.
Oh my God.
And they love it. I love it. I have so much fun. And I think it's a great way to bring people together. Obviously, it's a good excuse to like come together and like hang out, in the same way that I feel like it brings me that same sort of gratification as like Side Stage or Temple Smash. Like, it's a group, like, it is art. Like, you're getting together and like, it's you and a group of people with your collective brains making a story that you get like legitimately invested in.
Yes.
Like, my roommate, 2 of my roommates play with me, and they will like, I will be making dinner and they will come down and like start talking to me about their character in the third person, like they are a real person. Like, start explaining stuff to me. And I die every time. It makes me so happy. That's my exact goal.
You gotta come out and audition for Side Stage. Oh my God.
I did also. I think it's a great way to get people into acting, because it's a good way to trick people into acting.
Character work, character.
Oh, absolutely. It's dramaturgy and acting on a daily basis. You're like, why would my character do this thing? And then you go in and you perform it. But you do it in a safe space with a bunch of people who you feel like won't judge you, so you can just do whatever the hell you want.
Yeah.
Like, it's really, I don't know. I know it's really stigmatized, and I know it isn't as much anymore, because like Stranger Things made it feel a lot less nerdy, or like a lot more palatable, I guess. But I don't know. I feel like Stranger Things doesn't even really get to the essence of like just that pure feeling of like one friend being like, I'm gonna make up a crazy world for you all to live in, and then everyone else being like, we're gonna ruin it. And we hope you're ready for that. Like, the amount of unbridled like positive chaos, like just like good vibes chaos that comes out of D&D is like my favorite thing ever. One of my players is a necromancer who has, instead of a spell book, she tattoos all of her spells on her arms. And the best part is, like, this character, the way that her character looks, like, evokes a certain type of personality. She's not that. Her character, like, dresses like goth, like punk rock, like very like outgoing, like crazy personality. She's a bookworm. Like super
Wow.
silent, doesn't like talking over people, is very polite, like super introverted. And I just love how it's always people like starting off with being like, I've come up with a character. And then when they start playing, they're like, oh, but I'm like kind of playing me right now. I feel like I should get more into the character. And then eventually the character just becomes an idealized version of you. I feel like, no, it's like, it's every person's
that's
character.
awesome though.
No, it's great. And I feel like it's a really great way for people to express themselves, because it's like low-key you getting to be you, like in the most unashamed form, because you're playing a character, quote unquote. Like, it's always people projecting like things that they want to do more in real life, and then like sometimes I see people actually get a lot more confident because they like feel a lot more confident in D&D. Like my one friend really had a hard time when he first started playing. Like, he didn't know how to talk to people, and that's not calling him out. It's a bit true to him in life too. Like, he has a hard time finding a foothold for conversation sometimes. And it's like, you know, some people struggle with that. And he started playing D&D, and our players were like really like focused on helping him feel like he was included, and like helping him find a footing for like, how do you talk in like a fantasy conversation without being like rude or like having something to say. And then that bled over into real life, where he was talking to me. He was like, yeah, now that I'm like practicing the lessons that I learned in D&D to like engage in fictional conversation in like real conversation. Like, it's scaring me. The line is being blurred. And I was like, welcome to how I live all the time. I dream about my characters. Like, I am fully, definitely way too invested in the world that I've created, which is why this campaign like has to end ASAP, because I may be lost forever. But to everybody else who's normal, absolutely pick up this game next chance you get. Give the rule book a quick read over. It's not a Bible, it's a guideline. You know, read it and go, I like some of this stuff. Some of it's kind of stupid. Like, check out what you don't like. Find a couple friends, play a session. I think it's one of the best things ever.
What I'm really hearing is that the CPCA advising peers
should start a D&D campaign.
Should start a D&D campaign.
I would legitimately do that.
I'm not opposing it.
I'll get back to you on that. Let me finish this campaign. Let me finish this campaign.
This would be a good group to do it with there.
I am expecting a group me text by the end of the day of Jack just being like, guys, give me a month.
I have an idea, guys. I have an idea. Totally my idea. Totally wasn't Ben's idea.
A crazy idea. Pulling it out of thin air. Let's do a D&D campaign. Just like out of nowhere. That would make my day if I just saw that out of nowhere, and it's just like, let's do it.
It's honestly a super easy thing to do, so long as you can just find a time in your schedule to be like, this is D&D time.
Yeah.
The biggest struggle. The biggest struggle is always scheduling. It's never like getting into character, like writing. Like, I feel like I always also just like let things come to me while I'm playing. Sometimes I'm like, I'll go with the flow today. I'll like improv it. I'll go with like how the players are playing against me. And so like it's like super low energy. You just got to make sure you can find the time for it, because you know you do want to take up like, I normally don't run sessions that are under 2 hours. I treat it like a movie, like a movie an afternoon.
Yeah,
but that's because it's my brain. That's my like my little like dumb 20-year-old auteur being like, I'm creating a world.
But I love that
in my bedroom.
That's awesome. Here's the thing. I've learned already so much more about D&D just sitting here for the past like 10 minutes talking about it than I probably would have ever been. I've always been interested in it. Like, I've always been like, this seems like something that's really fun, because I'm into really long games. I'm not into like, you know, like the games like Life, or like games like games that will take you 30, 45 minutes, like Monopoly. Like, when you change the rules of Monopoly and you're playing like a custom game that'll take you like 12 hours to play. Like, I love that. I love games like
when
that.
You make a day of it.
Yeah, D&D is like one of those things where like I feel like I can make a long time out of this game, and it would be so much fun.
Oh, absolutely. And like, don't mince words. Like, if you're like really passionate about it, you can make people cry. I've done it.
Really?
You like my friends are legitimately, and me too. Like I am legitimately super invested in all of these fictional people we've all made up. Like legitimately feel for them and like want the best for them. I write the story. Like I can do that for them, but like I catch myself in moments being like, "Oh my god, I hope everything works out okay for them." And I'm like, "I am the writer." Like God, Jack, figure it out. But,
love that. But yeah,
I hope. Yeah, if any person watching this takes one thing away from anything I say today, play D&D. You will not regret it.
Boom.
At least once.
Gotta love it. Well, we are at that time where we are ready to play our little game.
It's not as long as D&D, I promise.
Fair.
But
It is not. It is not. We're gonna play our own game now. It is a simple game of this or that, or better known as Coke or Pepsi, where we literally just give you a list of things. This is also Temple Edition.
Okay.
So
all right.
We give you a list of things, and you have to pick between two. But the catch is there is a timer. You can only do it in 1 minute. So we have, it's usually on average between 12 and 15 questions, this or that questions. And you got 1 minute. We've only had maybe 21 episodes last season, and only 6 people did it.
I think something like that. Yeah,
Something
gotta look at. I gotta look at the stats.
Gotta look at the stats for sure. All right, so I am going to get my timer up, and Sarah is going to.
Oh, you can choose to explain if you like, but just know it eats into your time.
It does.
Got it.
There ain't no pausing the time.
So I'm just stating what I prefer and arguing for it.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, basically.
Right. Maybe if I decide to explain. All right.
Are you ready?
Yes.
All right. 3, 2, 1, go.
Wawa or 7-Eleven? Right off the bat.
Allegiance is gonna have to go to 7-Eleven for now.
Okay. Book or film?
Film.
Saxby's or Richie's?
Saxby's.
Netflix or Hulu?
Netflix.
Maxie's or Philly style?
Philly style.
Coffee or tea?
Tea.
The Sack or food trucks?
Food trucks.
Savory or sweet?
Savory.
Charles or Paley?
10 seconds on the clock.
Charles.
Play or musical?
Play.
Drama or comedy?
Drama.
Boyer or TFMA?
TFMA.
Oh,
Okay, we almost got it. There were a couple
close.
more. There were a couple more, but you were so close. Those are some solid answers, though.
they were.
That first one stumped me. I was like,
I know. I was like, ooh.
That's one that usually stumps people. Yeah, it's a tough one.
It's a tough one.
It is. I'm a little disappointed in the answer, but you know what? It's okay.
it's only because that's why I said in the moment 7-Eleven, because it's the one that provides me the sheer amount of convenience at the time.
Right.
If Wawa decided to show up on Temple's campus,
Temple needs a Wawa.
I wouldn't be opposed.
Whatever happened to the whole campaign of people trying to get Temple?
Wasn't there like an
Wawa
April Fool's thing?
I remember there being a petition going around. I think I may or may not have signed.
Yeah.
I think I probably did.
I just remember when they were building the new, I mean, I guess it's a shopping area, but the new, they put the Five Guys, that area, everyone rumored, they're like, it's going to be a Wawa. And that was the whole rumor. And I was like, oh, let's go. And then it was Five Guys, which don't get me wrong, I love Five Guys. I like Five Guys. A little overpriced, but I like it.
I know this is completely off topic, but did you guys see Proto Bagel Hut?
I did.
What?
They've completely redone Bagel Hut, because they're redoing the whole river
wait, on the little picture, on the picture thing.
Yeah. Well, no, it's the building is done. They've pushed back the gate.
There?
Well, they pushed back the gate barrier, so it's just behind Bagel Hut instead of just in front of it. But they've moved it to the right slightly, and it's all gray.
Yeah.
And I don't know how I feel about it.
I liked that refreshing red color personally because
it was so nice.
It was so welcoming. Well, it's also the thing with, I don't know if you've ever I remember reading somewhere, maybe I learned it in high school, but lots of food, specifically fast food companies, like the color red for their advertisings because for some reason the color red makes us hungry. So that red from Bagel Hut made me hungry, and that's why I liked it. So the gray is a little...
look at gray. Gray doesn't make me hungry.
No, not at all. So yeah, take it or leave it.
I just hope they put a fun sign up at least. There's no Bagel Hut sign. It's just a square.
If it's like a little fancy sign, I guess we'll
where's the fun awnings? Where's the red?
The awnings. You're right.
I may have to go complain. I may ask. I'll put up the money. I'll say hey, if you guys if Temple doesn't want to handle this, I will give Bagel Hut a glow up. Here is my CPCA peer advising money that I made these past 2 weeks, and I would like to redecorate Bagel Hut. This is a month's worth of salary. Please, please, please make it look prettier.
Exactly. Oh my gosh. Well, that about does it for today's episode. Jack, thank you so much for coming on. This has been great.
Thank you for having me.
I miss the whole podcasting thing of just talking to people because it always starts out I have to do this thing, but then at the end of the day, it is just having conversations, and I miss doing this. So thank you so much for starting off this new season.
Oh, of course. Pleasure to ramble.
Of course. Love talking about it. And as always, I would like to thank Sarah. She is basically the backbone of everything we do here. Without her, this would not be a thing. So Sarah, thank you so much.
Oh, shucks. Thank you, guys. It was so fun.
And from all here at Backstage Pass, including all the peer advisors, we are back in session in person. So make sure to visit us in the advising office at Mitten Hall. It doesn't got to be Zoom anymore. If you are itching to get outside and just come say hi to us, we will be in the office. With that said, thank you so much. My name is Ben. We will be out with episodes every Friday, so we will see you next time.